And part of maintaining a good lifestyle is keeping an eye on your organs. At least, that's what the world's first cardio-nephrologist tells us. Here's a look at how this physician's health advice and work impacts the community all the way in Mississippi.
Dr. Olurotimi Badero is a fully trained, board-certified international cardio-nephrologist who has been recognized as the world's first and only board-certified specialist in this field. He has received several awards for his accomplishment and has been recognized globally for his contributions as one of the pioneers in this emerging field of medicine. From skipping 4th and 6th grades due to academic excellence, to winning Best Overall Student in Nigeria in the National Science Quiz Competition, as well as completing 4 fellowships and 7 different medical specialties, including a fellowship at the Yale University School of Medicine program where he graduated with a distinction in interventional cardiology. Dr. Badero has always strived for excellence. He attended Federal Government College Odogbolu in Ogun State, Southwest Nigeria, graduating with 8 distinctions in his high school certificate examinations. He then obtained his medical education at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, before relocating to the United States to complete 3 years of internal medicine residency at the State University of New York, Downstate Medical Center. Afterwards, Dr. Badero was accepted at the renowned Emory University School of Medicine in Atlanta, where he completed a 2-year fellowship in nephrology and hypertension. He then returned to sunny Downstate Medical Center to complete another 3-year fellowship in cardiology. Following a distinguished cardiology fellowship, he was admitted to the prestigious Yale University School of Medicine, where he completed fellowships in invasive and interventional cardiology as well as peripheral vascular intervention. He completed these fellowships with distinction and was awarded a Certificate of Achievement for Outstanding Performance. He returned to New York for another fellowship in interventional nephrology, endovascular medicine, and dialysis access intervention. In all, he completed an unprecedented 10 years of continuous postgraduate medical training, specializing in 7 different areas of medicine with 6 specialty board certifications. Dr. Badero has received several awards, including a Congressional Award by the U.S. government for outstanding medical career and service to humanity. He has been inducted into several prestigious academic societies. He is a Fellow of the American College of Physicians, American Society of Nephrology, National Kidney Foundation, International College of Angiology, American Society of Diagnostic and Interventional Nephrology, American Society of Nuclear Cardiology, American Society of Angiology, American College of Cardiology, and Society for Cardiovascular Angiography and Interventions. He has published several peer-reviewed articles and sits on the editorial board of many scientific journals. He is involved in medical missions, partnering with NGOs that help alleviate the disparity in healthcare, especially in Africa and other medically underserved areas across the globe. He launched a free mentorship program in 2015 that included free travel and lodging for many Nigerian physicians with a 100% admission rate into residency programs in the US. He is involved in public speaking engagements as well as teaching medical residents and students in academic institutions. He has served as a consultant to some African countries in establishing cardiorenal programs and cardiac centers of excellence. Outside of medicine, he is the assistant pastor of Vine Chapel Church.
Coming up on Diaspora Network, our interview with Dr. Olurotimi Badero on health, life in the diaspora, and being a specialist in a unique medical field. Welcome back to the program. Now let's get to know more about the man from Mississippi with an outstanding medical career. Take us through the process of this journey. I mean, many people see you successful on the outside, but was it easy leaving the shores of Nigeria and then moving to the United States? Tell us.
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting question. It's not very easy anytime you have to transition from somewhere to the other, especially when you're coming from Africa to America or UK or to Europe as well. It takes a lot of getting used to the environment, the people, the culture, the language, the food, and just the way things are done, especially in the academic environment. So yeah, it was very challenging, like everybody else that has had to immigrate somewhere else. For me, it was very challenging. I was fortunate to have some people who helped me along the way. I had a place to stay, even though I had to do all kinds of jobs, to make ends meet, like a lot of people, did. And I had to do a lot of studying. And, sometimes you don't lose motivation, but, sometimes you think less of yourself. You can't think less of yourself, because people don't address you for who you are, or things like that. And you have to kind of get through all that hoops, and then you speak a language, people understand your accent. And so it was kind of tough, it was during the winter time. I had to do many jobs just to be able to pay my way through exams and all that. But all in all, I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I always look at things as opportunities, not as obstacles.
There's a long list of professional titles after your name. That's quite rare. How did you achieve this extensive training?
Very good question. For me, my journey has been one of adversity. Actually, been fought with a lot of adversities. And for example, medicine. I never chose medicine. I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to be an engineer. My dad talked me into it. So, and then when I got to the United States, I actually just wanted to be a cardiologist. And people stood in my way actually and tried to, frustrate me and discourage me and things like that. And so I went and studied nephrology, which was the other thing that I wanted to do. And eventually the opportunity presented itself for me to study cardiology. And I had to make a decision because it meant, more years of training. And it was very tough to do. And eventually I spoke with a friend of mine who's my mentor, and he told me, why don't you just do it? I don't think it's been done before. It's going to take a lot of your sacrifice and effort, training and all that. And then I decided to do it. And of course, when I started that too, it was fraught with a lot of adversities and people tried to stay in my way again. So a lot of times I had to kind of navigate the adversity, and I found myself, where I am today. So I always tell people cardiophrology chose me. I didn't choose to be a cardiophrologist.
I mean, there are heart surgeons and there are kidney surgeons, but you're the world's first certified cardio-nephrologist. That's really a huge achievement. What motivated you? I mean, you've talked about the adversity you faced, but what was the motivation for combining these two specialities?
Well, I always believe that you don't compare yourself, you prepare yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy. So as a child, I've never compared myself. I think people are born with some things, either as talent or whatever. But even if you're born with talent, you have to work hard because, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So from childhood, I've always been very competitive, whether it's on the soccer field, whether it's on, in school, in class, I've always had a very strong sense of self, a strong awareness of who I was or who I am, and that led me in my fifth year in high school. Myself and three other students, we won the best students in Nigeria, in the national squeeze competition. And for me, that was the first time being in a stage where you compete with all the children in the country and you come out on top. And it's after that, it becomes something that you want to achieve again and again. If you climb a mountain, you don't want to come down. So I've always been competitive and fraught with adversity, and I just don't give up because I don't believe that people should tell you what you should do and how you should be. I think you should believe in yourself and believe that you can get to wherever you want to get to with the grace of God. So.
And what sort of impact do you have in your community there in Mississippi, looking at the kind of patients that walk through your doors with the kind of expertise that you have? What impact are you making there?
Well, I think that, so cardiology and nephrology, they're very mixed. because 20% of your blood volume through your heart goes through your kidneys. Your kidneys filter, your kidneys control, your blood pressure. They control your volume, how much volume is in your body. They regulate a lot of elements and things in your body. So the kidneys are very important. And the heart is very important because the heart is a central organ. It pumps blood everywhere. So it means that whatever happens to the kidney is going to affect the heart. That's why cardiopulmonary is the thing of the future, and people are paying attention to it now. Whatever happens to the heart always affects the kidney. So in Mississippi, unfortunately, the obesity rate is very, very high here. Hypertension is very high. These are traditional risk factors for, heart disease and as well as high blood pressure. So they are always kind of linked together. So if you have that, what I call the 360-degree vision, which is, you know about cardiology, you know about nephrology, when you look at the patient, it's very, very different, as in compared to if you're just a cardiologist or if you're just a nephrologist. And so because you're able to see things that some people cannot see. And so when you're approaching that patient, it's a totalitarian approach to that patient, and which most of the time leads to better outcomes, and the patients always feel a lot better. So for me, it's been a plus, and I'm glad that I have that opportunity.
Talk us through the challenges of standing out, of being African, being in a field like that, working in the country where you're working. So, for instance, when referrals come to you and they walk into your office and they see you, tell us about that struggle, because I do know it must exist.
Well, if you don't climb the mountains, you can't view the plains. So everything has to go on a journey. You have to, basically struggle, and you have to, overcome the naysayers and people who think that you shouldn't be here, and you have to prove yourself that you not only belong here, but you belong to you have to be better. You're better than, what people expect you to be. So yeah, it's been challenging, but I don't look at the challenges. I look at challenges as always opportunities to do greater things. Like if you see a block, you can look at it as an obstacle, but you can either step on the block and jump higher than where you want to go to. So it depends on, it's not what you see, it's how you see what you see. It's all about perspective. And for me, of course, here has been very challenging because, you're in a field that is dominated by mostly Caucasians, and there's nobody doing the same field that I'm doing. And of course, it comes with all that. Patients come in and they're shocked, they're stunned. I remember when I first got here, and I was hired as a cardiologist, and they realized I was a nephrologist. It became a problem because they didn't know where do we put you? Do we pay you twice? Do we put you in two separate departments? And so it's always been like that. But eventually, the patients realize that you have that knowledge that can help them, and because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so once they realize that you care a lot about them and you have the knowledge to take care of their problems, they leave with smiling faces, and the word gets around, and the doctors, obviously they start sending you patients, and then you become, it becomes something that is very rewarding for you. Replicating a practice is something one can do. Of course, it's challenging, but you have to look at the bigger picture. What Nigeria needs is not necessarily practices. Nigeria has a lot of hospitals, right? So the hospitals are not what people need. People need the expertise to come back, and you can have a house. If somebody doesn't live in the house is non-functional, right? So we have hospitals in Nigeria. We have practices in Nigeria. We don't necessarily need extra practices. We just need to get the brains, the technological know-how, the expertise to come back and inhabit those things that are already there. We should have a maintenance culture, which we don't have in Nigeria and Africa. We start something, but we don't finish. And, we abandon it and go start another hospital, go build another hospital. What we need to do is to basically, the ones that are already there, find a way to improve it, and bring people to take over the place. The question in Nigeria is not, like, for example, building 5 general hospitals, 5 hospitals taking care of the same thing is not very efficient. You can become specialty oriented. You can have one hospital that takes care of the heart, one hospital that takes care of the kidney, another hospital that takes care of maternity and babies and deliveries, something that takes care of the GI or the lungs and surgical things, and just make sure that you have different areas that take care of different parts of the body, and then it becomes more efficient instead of just building the same type of hospitals, and it becomes a money-oriented thing. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be about the people, not about the person. Motivating the next generation is something that is very big in my heart, especially in Nigeria and Africa, and also people here. And going back home and trying to replicate the things that were done here and making sure Nigeria improves.
And finally, as you reflect on your life and everything you've achieved, how would you like to be remembered?
Good question. I believe that if you want to remember long after you're gone, it's either you write something worth reading or you do something worth writing. For me, I think posterity is going to judge me by what I've done. So I'm going to leave that to the people to remember me whichever way they want to remember me. I'm just here to do what I have to do, and the work is still yet to be done. There's a lot more things that need to be done, and after it's all said and done, I can look back and then I let people be the judge and
all right.
remember me whichever way they want to do.
Great. Congratulations on your certification and the rare work that you do. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Olurotimi Badero on Diaspora Network, and we will look out for you as you continue to grow higher. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.